On the palate, I get those very similar characters that I picked up on the nose. So much riper maraschino cherry fruit, jammy strawberry, jammy red raspberry. Definitely that vanilla bean. There's a little bit of cocoa powder here and some milk chocolate notes. It appears, or it feels like they use some higher quality new oak to this wine. I mean, it's got some pedigree, this wine. Definitely fruit forward though, not as much of that earthy rusticity, very ripe and generous and a fruit forward wine. I think well made. I would be, I'm just going to guess here that the 3B is the New World, the warmer climate, the Texas Sangiovese, and the 3A is that rustic old Chianti. They're very, very much true to type, and I think a good example of both of these, in my opinion, the Sangiovese, a very good example, 3A of a Sangiovese from Chianti Classico or Chianti, and a very good example of a New World Sangiovese here. So I hope I'm right, but if I'm not, it would be a real surprise, and it would be great. I mean, I definitely think both of these wines are drinking really, really well. So, Craig, you have any thoughts?
I agree with you. Being a graduate of Texas A&M, I absolutely love the maroon highlights that you picked up in 3B.
Okay.
I was looking for a little bit more acid in this wine, but I actually preferred 3B to 3A. My palate leans towards the Old World, and I always look for that earthen minerality, and 3A definitely displays it. It's just a little bit too overpowering. I think it mutes everything else in the wine and kind of masks it. So my preference is to 3B this time.
Okay, and I guess for my preference, I would say 3A. And more than anything for me, just because I really like that classic, dirty, rustic, old world style. But again, I mean, I think these are solid wines.
Yeah,
both of them.
Good examples.
I would love to drink either one of them. Okay, so let's see if I can get the wrapping off either one of these in any kind of manner. There we go. So I'm going to do 3A first. Goodness. It's like unwrapping a present at Christmas. All right.
Well, as you expected, that's the 2006 Badia Coltobono Chianti Classico.
Okay.
One of the classic Chiantis available from one of the oldest wineries in the world, actually.
Wow, that's exciting. And 3B, oh wow, okay. 3B is the McPherson Sangiovese. So, cool.
The price points that we're looking at here, the Badia Coltobono is going to be around 25, where that McPherson is only 18. So for showing so well in those classic Sangiovese varietals, I think that's a bargain out there.
Yeah, no, pretty darn good. So, all right.
Let's move on to the fourth flight, the Tempranillo flight. If y'all would like to go ahead and pour 4A. And then go ahead and pour 4B. We have found that Tempranillo is really one of those varietals that Texas is kind of starting to hang their hat on, as well as the Syrahs and the Sangioveses, producing some absolutely fabulous wines. So, 4A. It does have that beautiful red color. It's almost a red cherry. There's a little bit of a bricking moving out to a rim and a very slight water band wrapping around the outside. The nose is clean, very pleasant. It's one of those things that I just don't really want to stop smelling. It's a darker fruit characteristic here, a dark red cherry, a blackberry. There's a plum or a kind of a stewed prune characteristic to this wine. Again, I get a lot of those savory components, kind of a fennel seed or a fennel bulb. And there's a earthen minerality, kind of a dried sandy soil. Moderate complexity on the nose, but very pleasant. Palate's very generous. It's a medium-bodied wine. I get more of a red fruit characteristic on the palate. There's actually a dehydrated strawberry, that red cherry note. The fennel is moving over to more of a licorice characteristic, and I definitely get that stewed plum, the raisin and the prune notes. Confirming that earth and minerality as well, the kind of a dried, almost a dried dirt road minerality. Well integrated oak here. I get a medium plus tannin. It's a well integrated wood and fruit tannin. Medium acid and medium plus alcohol. I think it's a great wine. Very nicely balanced between the fruit, the oak, and the wood characteristic. Very pleasurable. It's one of those things that I really look for a great nose in a wine and a great finish, and this is something that has both, and I really enjoy it. The second wine is a much deeper, more concentrated wine. It is a deep ruby color. Can't really see much through it, and it's moving out to a slight purpling on the rim. Much darker, heatier characteristics that are seen throughout this wine. There's a blackberry, there's a black cherry, there's a black plum.
So we just had a question come in, smoke question mark. So is that, I'm guessing that's the question is, are we getting a smoky character, or maybe we should explain a little bit further.
Certainly. I definitely did get a smoke characteristic on both of these, and I also tasted some of that smoke characteristic on the second flight when we were tasting through the red Rhone varietals.
Okay.
Smoke to me comes from two different places. It can come from the fruit. It can also come from the oak. Typically, it's going to come from the oak. One of these steps in the barrel making process is actually firing or charring the inside of the oak barrel. And they can char it to a low, medium, or a high toast. And a lot of times, when they actually char it and burn it to that high toast, you do pick up a lot of those smoke characteristics. But there are some varietals, like a Syrah, that will give you some of those kind of a smoked meat characteristic as well.
Yeah, and I think Tempranillo is one of those varietals, especially, again, as you said, Tempranillo is a great variety that takes oak aging very, very well. And so in a scenario like this, when we're describing smoke, it can be sort of a mesquite or a liquid smoke character that you would get from a charcoal briquettes or something like that. Could also be just that sort of smoky component that you would get from like the charred outside of a steak or a charred or a vegetable or something like that.
Or almost
like
a campfire type smoke.
Yeah, sure. And I think both of these wines display this.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry I cut
It's
you
okay.
off right in the middle. Go ahead.
Going back to this, it may be the power of suggestion, but that smoke is a very intense liquid smoke that's coming out now.
Now, yeah.
But there is an underlying earth and minerality to this. It's more of a kind of a chopped up gravel or a wet gravel characteristic that's very, very pronounced. Very well integrated, very high quality oak was used on this. It smells like a very young, tight wine. Something that I think could age for a number of years.